My name is Lucas Zhao. I listen to the Wednesday Week.
There's a chance here, a great save. A turner from the clear. Might come. A terrific goal by Sheridan. Rexman against Jones. Get in. You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the penultimate Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsborough, and with me on the line, first of all, we've got Mr. Marriott. Hello there, James, your boy.
Doesn't penultimate mean second to last?
We've got the last podcast of the Wednesday week.
I'm going to say,
thinking, are you teasing us? Is there another podcast?
I didn't sign up to do another one of these bloody things after this one. This is it.
We've got
enough punishment.
Oh dear, we've got plenty of time for outtakes, don't we? James, how are you all?
Hello. Yeah, I'm all right.
Are you fully recovered?
I am fully recovered. Yeah, there's still, there's a little bit of me that's still a bit upset, but I've cried all the tears that I could possibly cry.
I was more worried about the drinking than the result, but we'll come on to that later. We've got Rich Davies. Hi there, Rich. Been?
Good evening, my lord. How are you?
I'm terribly well. How very nice of you to ask. No,
well,
Rich,
no
people don't generally ask me. I ask people, and they just don't care. Rich, they just don't care.
I thought I'd book the trend tonight, but I had a momentous weekend. It was absolutely, apart from result, was fantastic. But I can't stop with that bloody song in my head. We're on our way.
You're not
Will not go.
Victoria, my darling, how the devil are you?
Good evening, my lord. And I always ask you how you are. Always. You listen back, and I always say, I'm all right, my lord. How are you?
Yeah, but Rich sounded sincere when he said it.
I am sincere. Anyway, hello, I'm here. I am on my last day off now. I have to go back into work for 3 days. I've had the best weekend ever.
Fantastical. Mr. Fudge, how the devil are you all being?
Good evening, Lord Hillsborough. How's it going? You all right?
You don't sound great, Fudgy.
I am.
People will be thinking they've rang 090 for this.
Yeah, that's right. I am 100% still rotting. And honestly, it hurts to be awake and breathing. I've just gone downstairs to the bottom of the flat block to feed the cat. I came back up and I was literally stood there out of breath. This is 10 minutes before we recorded this. I was stood there trying to scull in water before I poured myself a wine.
Before you poured yourself a wine.
Well, what makes you ill makes you better, doesn't it?
Bless you. And of course, Mr. Eduardo, the devil are your boy.
Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and the Wednesday week will try to fix you. No matter how you feel after the weekend that we have had, I think we're all a bit giddy still. I think we're all a bit exuberant, but I'm sure there's some Wednesday fans listening who feel the pain still. I don't think we're all necessarily over it, but there's some that feel the pain still. So this is what tonight is about, isn't it? We are going to try and put a lid on it all, get it all finished and boxed off, and get everyone a little bit psyched, because what's coming next is going to be better than what we've already had, and what we already had was bloody brilliant. I
can for one tell you that categorically I'm not still exuberant right now. This is
You actually sound like someone's eaten Dan Fudge and you're speaking from inside them.
Hello.
Like man in a box.
Can you hear me now?
We have a full complement of weekers for our last show of the week. Of course, it was only fitting that we're all here. And of course, we all know what happened at Wembley. It wasn't the greatest game of football we've seen, but boys and girls, I think it's fair to say that the Wednesdayites are just nothing but positive, are they? This has been a fantastic, brilliant season, a fantastic day out at Wembley. Yes, the result didn't go our way, but looking at the social medias, obviously after the game, everybody's just still buzzing the bits and bobs off, aren't they?
I think the thing is, I was saying this to people after the game, like we all kind of left. Eddie's little boy was in bits, which I'm sure he'll mention in a bit. But as we left, I was like, come July last year, if somebody had come down to you and said, look, I guarantee you a place at Wembley with 45 of them Wednesday fans, and you'll lose by an absolute wonder goal, would you want to go? Of course we bloody would. We had an amazing weekend. Let's just be happy and let's look to next season now. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. It was just a brilliant, fantastic. I have no superlatives really that I can use to talk about how good a day it was. There's no getting away the fact for me personally. After full time, I was gutted, and as much as the fact that we still had so much to celebrate in terms of how brilliant this season's been, and we've said this before. You know what? The Championship next season will be a fantastic league. We've got Newcastle and Villa coming into it. We've got Burton coming into it, which will be a great away day. We've got Barnsley coming into the league as well, so it's another South Yorkshire team. It doesn't take away from the fact that you just feel so. We could touch the Premier League. You could feel it. You could give it a good fondle, but we couldn't. We just couldn't quite get over that line. And yeah, you know what? I did. I know I joked about it earlier. I did have a bit of a cry on Saturday when I got back to the hotel, and I've got no shame in saying that because. That's the closest by an absolute mile that we've come to getting back in the Premier League for the last 16 years. And, we love and breathe this football club. So it's going to upset us, isn't it? To different extents, the fact that we lost the game. I kind of got my head around it all by Sunday morning and felt really positive. And in a way kind of thought that, If you go up into the Premier League, it's a lot of money. It's great, but you've got to get used to losing games because that's going to happen in your first season in the Premier League. And we've got another season of winning games to look forward to, which is brilliant.
The match itself, let's face it, it wasn't fantastic, was it? We shan't analyse the game too much. We've all seen it on TV. Obviously, people were down at Wembley, and it could have been better. It could have been worse. I think Westwood had an absolute blinding game, just to sort of shout that out, because he did play fantastically, didn't he? And there were some decent performances from our players. We just didn't have enough to cross the line. We'll leave that at that. I know we're supposed to be a Sheffield Wednesday podcast.
I think the one thing to point out is that, yes, all right, we lost 1-0 and, whatever happened. But a lot of their win is hats off to Steve Bruce because his tactics were phenomenal. We couldn't get anywhere near a second ball. At all. Everybody was marked down. His tactics won that game for them 100%. We didn't know what we were doing. We had no idea. But yeah, like you said, we lost it. But hey ho, like James said, next season, 23 wins at home, 23 wins away. Let's do it.
Come on.
Honestly, Victoria, I couldn't agree more with how you've summed up the game there. As much as I think we all talked about it being Carlos's tactical master plan, and that was our best chance of getting a result, was Carlos coming up with a way to beat Hull and the players executing on that. I don't have any doubt that Carlos knew exactly what he wanted to get out of that game, but I think he'll admit that he was outthought by Steve Bruce, and credit to Steve Bruce for that, because not many managers have outthought Carlos Cavalier this season. But even more than that, I think all the players, with the possible exception of Kieran Westwood, will agree that whatever the plan was, they didn't execute the way that they had done in previous games, throughout this season, and certainly how they hoped that they would execute Carlos's plan out there on the pitch. And an awful lot of that is credit to a very, very, very good Hull side who stifled us, who stopped us from being creative, who stopped us from playing our own game. They had the players to be able to carry out a master plan. We did too, but our players didn't, and our plan wasn't quite as good. And so, as far as the game is concerned, no shame. We weren't overwhelmed. We weren't beaten into submission, but we were beaten, and we were beaten by an absolute wonder goal. So, as far as the 90 minutes is concerned, no qualms whatsoever. Hull City deserved to go up, and they showed why, probably for 6 months of the season, they were the class act in this division, and for whatever reason they fell away. On the pitch, we were in second place. Off the pitch, forget Hull, we were single-handedly the greatest fan base who've ever turned up at that national stadium. I was so proud of how we turned out for the day. Wasn't it amazing?
I cried phenomenal. Twice. I turned up to the ground relatively late-ish, went in, sculled a few beers, and turned up onto the actual pitch side itself, literally as the guys are shaking hands, and it made me stop. I stopped in my tracks and just went. I knew it was going to be good, but wow. I mean, seriously, wow. It was so impressive. And for some reason, I seem to have a hobby of watching Hull City get promoted in the playoff final. This is something I've done twice now, and they've won by the same scoreline to a very similar goal as well, which is quite frustrating. But I had genuinely goosebumps looking at our fans passing the flag around and the way. I mean, I think there was a 20-minute period in the second half where we were singing a certain song. I think was it On Our Way or Call Us Had a Dream? It was On Our Way. It was actually, ironically, about 2 or 3 minutes we'd stopped finishing. They then scored, and wow. I mean, you can't buy fan base like that. And I mean, we'll probably get on to ticket allocations later on, but we'd have sold those seats easy, surely.
Easy.
Well, I mean, it has to.
Even neutrals would have gone, wouldn't they? A lot of neutrals from Sheffield that I know that went to Cardiff that were like in my sort of group of mates at the time that weren't that bothered about football, either they played cricket or tennis or rugby or any other fake sport. And they even got a ticket for Cardiff. And I know for a fact that they would have all gone to Wembley, definitely.
And a lot of, let's be honest here, a lot of the Hull fans that did make it were of that ilk. In the same way, and credit where credit's due, we brought a lot of part-time, fair-weather, touristy type fans to Cardiff, for instance, for the playoff final in 2005. Yeah, we sold those tickets, but there was a lot of fans on that day that were there for the experience as opposed to because they were die-hard blue and white and it meant as much to them as it did to some fans.
I agree with that, Eddie, but like after the game, I was sat drinking with a guy that one lived in Orlando, one lived in New York, and another one was from South Africa. You know what I mean? I appreciate that not everybody can make every game, but this is our club. Do you know what I mean? And the fact we had a turnout like we did, Christ, that's the power of Sheffield Wednesday, no?
Do you want? I've been collating a list of where in the world people travelled from to watch Wednesday. Do you want me to run through it? Because it is quite astonishing, this list. So we've got America, and we know of New York and Florida in America. I'm sure there were people that came.
I have Pennsylvania, Jeff at Pennsylvania. Yep.
There you go. So we've got America, Denmark, Australia, South Africa, Norway, Dubai, Holland, Ireland, Brazil, New Zealand, Sweden, Thailand, Hong Kong, Spain, Cyprus, Switzerland, Singapore, Canada, Bulgaria, and Austria.
And Barnsley.
and one person from Hull who came to watch Wednesday.
And apparently something from Crawley as well, which must have been an arduous trip.
I know 4 people from Hull that went to watch Wednesday.
There was one or two that I saw from Greece as well, which wasn't on the list as well there, Jay. So it just goes to show how much people wanted to see this game. We could have sold out not just the seats that Hull didn't sell, but we could have sold out the entire Chopping Hull end as well, twice over, couldn't we? It was that simple. It really was.
That was a disappointing part, I thought, was, that we could have probably sold the empty spaces. I don't want to bang on about it all the time with Hull not bringing enough, but the amount of seats that were there, we probably could have filled, the majority of those, if not all of them. That was a disappointing bit, but I just had the day was probably in the top 5 of my life ever. It was so fantastic before it, during it. I think about 10 minutes from the end, I sent a text to our last just saying it's slipping away. And I knew it was then. I just started sitting down a little bit. And then I had a little bit of a moment then. And when we were singing at the end, as the players were coming around, that's when I started getting a little bit emotional as well. And I got it out of the way there and then. And afterwards, we just had such a brilliant time as well, up until 10 o'clock at night, abusing Hull players.
So out of my entire weekend was awesome, which I'm sure we're all going to go into in a minute. But Rich, come on, that has to be my finest moment in the last 15 years brilliant. That you have known me. Please explain my moment because I get too emotional and too excited.
So about 10:30, as we were finally walking away from Wembley Stadium, having abused Hull fans and spoke to various people and friends and a couple of celebrities and whatever, Al Mohammadi walked past us with a ball, limping. And Vic just basically went to him, You don't have to fucking limp now. Game's over.
Stop faking it. We all saw you die.
and he came back and he went, I'm not fucking faking it. And I'm like, oh, whoa, hang on a minute, pal. Hang on.
And then
She
the
was
best
just
bit was
joking with you.
he carried on walking and turned around and just went, "You're shit." That didn't go down well, did it? It didn't go down well at all.
It didn't at all, no.
But that is possibly one of the best things I've ever done. My boyfriend was so proud.
I can't tell you how proud of you I am. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That's genuinely something I would do. And I'm
jealous
with me.
in my hand as well, just to make it even more classy.
Yes. And I just chucked it at him at the end.
But it was just, we're like, just get over it, pal. You've just been promoted to the Premier League.
Like,
just get on with it. And smile.
You're a Premier League player. And it's like, I am not faking my injury.
I think, to be fair, though, I think there was something that was quite apparent that day. And we spoke about the tactics and stuff like that. But let's not forget, they had some serious Premier League standard players in their team. And all week beforehand, I've been waxing lyrical about players like Super Hooper and Cheeky Nando and Super Barry Banan. I was waxing lyrical about their big game players. They're going to turn up. You watch them go. And if you had to pick three that were in the bottom five, they'd probably be in it, purely because they got absolutely managed out of the game beautifully. I mean, Bannon had to come deep a while, you know what I mean? And it was, and I'm thinking, this is crap. You know what I mean? And then at half time, I said to the missus, I said, you watch Carlos will go mad. He'll change it up. You know, New came on 10 minutes later than what he should have done. Halan brought a little bit, but was a bit of a muchness. Ross Wallace, I forgot he was on the pitch after a while. But, you know, these had some serious Premier League players. And going back to your story, there's pretty much a air of expectancy from some of their players to be in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean?
I think,
I'd agree with
let's
that.
be honest here, that I wrote about it earlier today with a little bit of space between the emotion and the reality. And I don't think that any of us who followed the Championship this season, who followed the Premier League last season, who understand how football works, I don't think any of us, I don't think we ever really believed that Wednesday could do it in an apples and apples comparison. You know, man for man, we are not as good a team as that Hull City team, and that, you know, they proved that. Okay, I think most of us in the 2 weeks that we'd had and the run, and you know the look that we'd had, and the fact that it almost felt like it was meant to be, I think a lot of us let our hearts get ahead of our heads in terms of how we approach the game. And you know what? I'm no different. I honestly believe that there was a fairy story happening, and even though my head was telling me, you know what, that you can't ride your luck forever, it's going to run out, and you know, Hull are a better side than we have faced, all season, even at our best. I think that Hull performance was as good as anything that Burnley brought, anything that Middlesbrough brought this season. So, I think we were all quite giddy about it, and that was brilliant because, you know, why not dream? And it made the build-up and it made the day absolutely magical. So that when we lost, I think I was insulated from a lot of the pain that some people were feeling. And, you know, Vic's alluded to it. My son, who's 8, had an absolute...
You did have a little tear, Edward, when we
I did. Of course I did. Of course I did, because we had a great chance, and the run was over. The fairy tale didn't happen. My son was absolutely inconsolable. My daughter, who, and it's on record, she loves everything about football apart from the football. She said, Daddy, I really, really, really wanted Wednesday to win, because then we could have the party. You know, so she's understood something about what it is to be a Wednesday fan in that moment. Tom was absolutely in bits. I think my wife, Laura, I think she's dealt with it, so much, not so much worse, but she's been affected by it so much more than me, because I think deep down, she believed that we were going to do it. Whereas I think deep down, I had that amount of doubt that made me think, you know what, today's a bonus, and everything we can get out of the day, regardless of the result, is part of the healing process. And anything else is a bonus. Literally, promotion would have been an unexpected bonus. But hey, you know what? Even without it, I said it today, that the result was almost not as important as what went on around the week leading up to it, the day itself, everything right down to nearly 40,000 Wednesday fans. I don't think too many left at the end. Nearly 40,000 Wednesday fans stayed there, and we drowned out a club's Premier League promotion celebrations in order to sing our love and our respect and our thanks to a defeated, shattered team based on the performance they put in over the whole season. I talk about it like a healing process. For the last 16 years, we've not been in the Premier League, and probably for at least 10 of those years, Wednesday have been on their way down. And for the last 5, we've been on our way back. Well, yesterday or Saturday was the healing process. I feel like now we are healed as a club and we're ready to go back and take our place, because God knows it's been too long coming. But the sight of those fans, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, everything about that day, apart from the result, was the most perfect it could have been. And so why not celebrate it? Why not enjoy it? It was everything. It was everything, and it always will be.
100%. And I think, like, me and James obviously saw each other on the Saturday after the Friday night. And James, even we were saying then, like, neither of us were prepared for winning. That was the main thing. We were like, we're prepared to lose, but we're not prepared to win. And then as the week went on and on and on, obviously you got more and more excited. But I was just at the same thought that, do you know what? I'm going to go to fucking Wembley. I'm going to watch Wednesday at Wembley. I've never been, because I don't want to go and watch something that doesn't mean a lot to me. I would now. I'd go and watch England or whatever. But I've always been saving that moment in the hope. And I genuinely never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. And
you know what? I'll agree with you, Vic. There is a special moment about walking down those stairs in the tube, going under that underpass, and then looking to the far end of Wembley Way and seeing the two sets of fans diverge on those ramps going up.
Our badge on Wembley Stadium, just unreal.
Yeah, there was something about that.
That's exactly
I didn't see that. My eyes had gone by that point, so I missed that.
Did you have your readings on?
That's exactly what I was going to say, though, Fudge, is as soon as you walk down Wembley Park Station onto Wembley Way, and you could see Wembley in the distance, and I've just closed my eyes, I don't know why, to envisage it all again, and with the kids with me, and it all just started then, and just to see a blue and white, all the people, that I bumped into more people like I knew on Saturday, I haven't in years, and everyone was a hug and proper Wednesday love, and I'm getting emotional again. I'm going to give
up the same thing. I tell you what, then, Rich. Why don't you start it off? Why don't you tell us your try and keep it down to about 2-3 minutes? But you know what I mean? Why don't you tell us your story for the day? Because I know it meant a lot to you taking your kids. Yeah,
it was massive. It was absolutely massive for me to be able to do that. And just the fact, I want them to enjoy themselves and take it all in, and be all inclusive in it. And we got so many pictures on Wembley Way. We got to the fan park and we met most of you guys, and just the amount of people I was bumped into. Me and Cleggy from the Cop End had a bit of a moment just before we went in the ground, and he ended up in tears. And again, we had a hug, and that's just how it felt through everything. The match absolutely flew by. Like I said, when we came out, we met Vic and Alistair and Bill and Babs, and we just sat and drank a shitload of lager, to be blunt.
On a bench.
On a bench, yeah. It was a bit like what homeless people do, really, But it was so good. And on the way home on Sunday, in the car, where there was Ian, my friend, and his son, and my two, Reese and Riley. And I said, "What was your best part of the day?" And they went, "After the match." And it really was that good. And we were just talking to other Wednesday fans. We were taking the mick out of Hull fans who seemed miserable, to say the good.
Unless they were happy ones, they got a big cheer, didn't they? There were three. There were 3 happy Hull fans.
There was 3 happy Hull fans, all 3 of them.
And they got full-on standing ovation. Oh my God, happy Hull fan, yeah!
Hey! What about you, James? What about you in your day?
My story of the day.
Tell me your story of the day. I'm intrigued because I think it's weird the way all of ours kind of intertwine at some point. It's like an episode of Lost.
They do. It really is. Yeah, it's got that kind of like, you walk around a corner and oh my God, it's so and so. It was like that. So I got the train down at 7:30, which was great. Saw couple of mates of mine, Mark and John, who were catching the train down as well. But I travelled down with my mate Tom. It was just the two of us that travelled down together. We got into London at 9:30, went for breakfast, which was good. First pint at 9:30. That's where it started to go a bit wrong.
Yeah, breakfast was a good shout, actually. That was something I wish I'd have partook in.
Yeah, a pint of 6% lager with breakfast wasn't particularly clever, but
You've ruined breakfast.
Checked into the hotel. They let us check in early. That was brilliant. At this point, everything's going really well. Got to the pub about 11 o'clock, and in the pub at this time, there's Andy Parsons and his dad, and David Garrido was getting the pints in, which is brilliant. And then one by one, people start arriving, turning up, and there was a group of probably about 12, 15 of us by this point. So I think about 12 o'clock we move on to the second pub, and then we move on to the third pub. And I think it's the third pub where I met up with you, Dan, and obviously Lee Peacock was there as well. And I was thinking, this is really good fun. Now, Billy, who's my mate from the Brentford podcast, he came for a couple of drinks, but his wife doesn't know, so I'm not allowed to talk about it on the podcast.
That was
yeah,
really
that was
cool.
brilliant. That was brilliant. I mean, I know that
I was jealous when I saw the photos of Billy there.
He is, friend of the podcast, but he's a great guy. It was dead nice of him to come out for a couple of hours and meet up with us, which was brilliant. And I'm thinking, this is really good. I'm really enjoying this. And then who walks into the pub? But Connor Wickham came into the pub.
Yay!
With one of the guys that was with us, Pete. His daughter is going out with Connor Wickham.
Kayla.
She is his girlfriend, yeah. So that was brilliant. He got a little bit fed up of us one by one being like, can we have a photo, please? And I was like, can I have an interview, please? He went, maybe later. I'm like, okay, that's a no, that's fine. And after that, it does get a little blurry. Now, I remember leaving and getting the tube. I remember the tube being very boisterous. And I remember I'm one of those that's either when I'm on a tube or a train, I either say nothing or I'm the one that's starting all the silly songs. And I was the one starting all the silly songs, including You Just a Shit Town in Yorkshire to the Hull fans, which went down well. And then I remember the fresh air, getting to the fan park and just thinking, how the hell am I going to find anyone here? It was just solid blue and white everywhere. And I'm like thinking, I've got no idea how I was going to track down you guys. And obviously, I didn't do in the end. Took ages to get a drink. And then the one thing I do remember about the fan park, and this is so like, I don't really know if I want to tell this story on the podcast, but I remember turning around and I'd lent James Kay my 91 home shirt because he didn't have a Wednesday shirt to wear. I remember turning around thinking, oh, brilliant, James Kay. So I go walking over to him to say hello, left by friends. And as I got about 4 or 5 paces from him, I made eye contact and kind of waved. I was like, oh, God, that's not James Kay.
So to be fair, James Kay was stood in TGI Fridays at that point, like, Vic, I can't find you. Where are you?
So I thought, how do I deal with this? So I carried on and walked up to this guy and went, hello, you're not the person that I thought that you were, and I'm really sorry.
What are you talking to?
Do you mind if we just stand here and talk just for 30 seconds or so my friends don't realise what I've done? So and he went, yeah, that's fine.
Oh God,
and we exchanged
James,
a few
I love
pleasantries.
you.
And I went, right, that's probably enough. I'm gonna go now. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you. Bye.
Wow.
And went back to my friends. Got back to my friends and went,
Oh
"Yeah,
my God.
I've not seen him for years.
Oh gosh, that's
I'm
brilliant.
also quite proud to be the first person as well that there was a big queue to use the Portaloos. I was the first person that walked straight down the queue, round to the back of the Portaloos, just pissed on the back of them, and walked back out.
James.
I was
Wow.
proud of that.
You
And everyone
security
followed suit.
start,
After
yeah.
that, everyone started doing it. I was the first. Actually, I think it was me and Tom were kind of did it at the same sort of time. I don't remember much about being inside the ground. Don't remember a lot about afterwards.
Where did you go after? What's your story for
we
after?
went in just one of the restaurants outside the ground. I can't remember which one, but it got like a little bar section there. We went in there. My mate Tom spilt about 4 drinks while we were in there.
Good old Tom.
And I don't know how many drinks we had in there. It's all a bit of a blur after that. I remember then we set off to go to the Green Man, and we got about halfway there, and I just said, "Do you know what, guys? I'm going to bail at this point. I'm going to have to take Tom home. He was like, bouncing against the street sign, against walls and stuff. So in my head, I thought I'll go drop Tom off back at the hotel, maybe take a quick shower or something, and go back out. And when I got back, and I just thought I need a bit of a cry now.
Go on then. Go on then. Tell us what time you went to bed. We need to.
Yeah, go on.
I think it was about 9:30.
It's a new record.
Our kids were in bed at 1 a.m.
I'd been up since 4 in my defence. It might have been a little bit later, but it wasn't much later than that.
It wasn't any later, don't lie.
Do you know the thing that I love the best? And I kind of regretted not going to the Green Man because of the fact that my mate Chris posted this brilliant video of. Yeah, did you hear how the fans changed the "We're on our way" song to
we
"Not
heard
Today"?
that outside, yeah.
I just think that was brilliant, really, really, really good, and that really made me smile the next morning when I read that. Although my favourite tweet from the day came from Hartlepool United, who tweeted Sheffield Wednesday needed a late penalty decision there from their official Twitter account, which I thought was
brilliant.
I really wish Westwood had got sent off right now.
Oh no. Jeeves, we're going to need some more equipment.
Then you need to speak to Oddballs, a speciality.
What the?
Oddballs, a speciality deal in steel, food, and engineering equipment.
Where's that voice coming from?
We offer great deals on all types of equipment and can include dismantling, delivery, and erection anywhere in the world.
Did he just say erect?
We can also buy your surplus equipment or sell it on commission. With over 30 years' experience, let us achieve the best deal for you.
Where can I find out more, Voice in the Sky?
Go to www.bentoria.com.
You heard him, folks. Jeeves, get a broom.
Right, so Friday, me, my mum, my dad and my boyfriend all travelled down together. Boyfriend said it on the podcast. Ooh. So we all went down. We went to
that
Leicester
doomed
Square. I know.
In fact, my only memory of your boyfriend, Vic, is him just stood holding a whale in the air.
Yeah.
A big inflatable whale. And I was stood there for about 5 minutes with you lot, and he's the entire time holding a whale.
No,
Did he explain
he's
it?
a good lad. He's a good lad.
Did he buggery?
But he's a nice bloke, but he's bloody taller than me. That's the most annoying thing.
He's very tall.
Yeah, that's weird.
So Friday, we all went out. We travelled down together. All drove up to Mum and Dad's. All got in the car. Travelled down to London. Checked in at the hotel, which was on Wembley Way. So my mum and dad were like, "Oh, we've got a queen room." Bearing in mind they don't sleep in the same room because my dad snores. So mum was like, "You two are having a twin. You're not having a double bed. You're having a twin." So we're like, "Yeah, sound fine." I was like, "That's great by me. You get my own bed. Brilliant." As we checked in, we had a perfect view of Wembley Stadium, and they saw bins from their double room. So 1-0 Victoria. And so we went out into Leicester Square, and then we met up with Eddie and everyone at we were walking up Shaftesbury Avenue, and we could hear Wednesday songs. So I was like, let's go, let's follow the sound, let's go there. And we ended up going to the Punch and Judy in Covent Garden, and there were a couple of guys in there. And when we actually got in there, it turned out my boyfriend went to school with one of the guys that was singing, and his drunk dad. So just stood around for a bit. Bouncers kept coming over and saying, "No football songs. No, can you not talk about football, please? We're not a football pub." So all right. So eventually we gave up. I was like, "Sod this. Someone's just tweeted me telling me to go to this pub. Let's all go there." So we dragged everybody. There was a father and daughter coming in who apparently listened to the podcast. I don't know the names. We never swapped names or anything. But we ended up taking them with us, and we all went to the White Lion in Covent Garden. And by the time we got there, I tweeted it from our podcast account saying, "This is the place to be." All of a sudden, there must have been 200 people outside this pub. So I was like, brilliant. I'm going to hand out business cards for the podcast. Everybody I gave one to went, "Why are you giving me this? I've only come here because you've tweeted to come here." I was like, "Oh, sauce."
Yeah, they already follow us, Vic. You know what I mean?
I was like, "Hiya, can I interest you in a podcast?" They were like, "Why do you think we've come to this random pub?" Oh, sauce. Yeah.
It's amazing. Can we just take a moment to say thank you to the guys that listen, by the way, and just sort of say, do you know what? Fair play.
It was amazing. I had a lot of selfies with people. I've not seen any yet. I don't know if they've been tweeted to us. I've not really checked. But yeah, it was wonderful. And then Eddie turned up. Edward, your son, made my weekend. What a legend. So we're all stood outside, and Eddie disappeared because your little girl was upset, wasn't she? Izzy wanted to go away for a bit. And the next thing I knew, Eddie's son was on this random guy's shoulders, and he controlled, by this point there were probably 300, 400 fans in that one bit, and he controlled everybody. Like, it was amazing. Like, people were like singing, and then Tom would be like, shh, and everyone would shush. And then he'd come up with a chant, and everybody joined in, and it was amazing. My boyfriend's got like a 4-minute video of it, and it is just incredible. And that made our weekend. That was it. That was like, this is a moment that's going to stay with me forever. It's watching a little boy who I've known from being, well, a fetus, to being like an actual person.
Can I have Eddie pick the story up here to see what Eddie. At the point where he's come back and your little boy stood on another man's shoulders.
He's a smug bugger with my son, to be honest.
Oh.
You know what? Not satisfied with being a better footballer than me and better looking than me and cuter than me and more popular than me. He then decides that he is gonna like hijack the club that I've given 38 years of my life to, and he's just gonna rock up there and go, yeah, you know what, I'm top boy now. What are you gonna do?
It was amazing. It was so good.
It was ridiculous to see him, and he will look back in 10 years, in 15 years time, and he'll watch that video and he will be gobsmacked that he, as an 8-year-old child, could be holding court with, like Vic says, 200, 300 Wednesday fans who were hanging on his every word. So, every time he set a chant going, they would follow him. And when the chant was finished, the entire lot started shushing and shushing and shushing and waiting for him to then pick up the next chant. It's something you dream of. You dream of starting a chant at a football match. And he basically just like, oh, yeah, I'll do 10 in a row, mate. Job done.
He just owned Covent Garden that night.
Pretty much.
People, like random tourists were stopping and taking videos.
Yeah.
It was that good.
The best thing is that since, an absolute kudos to Al, to Vic's boyfriend, because he was the one who had the presence of mind to record like a full 5-minute video of it. And I will watch that till the day I die and love every minute of it.
Sorry. Can I just clarify that the term presence of mind is not pissed enough or just not as pissed as everybody else?
Pretty much the second, yeah. Pretty much the second.
All right.
But other than that, there must have been 3 or 4 videos doing the rounds on Twitter and Facebook of my son and
random kid
just put oh mate, this kid were epic. And so obviously it's something that has become part of the folklore of that weekend for some people. I'm so happy because that was the first moment of real togetherness of the weekend, and God knows. Yeah, we had so much more after that, but that Friday night in Covent Garden, given that there was no organised, meeting point, it literally was word of mouth and Vic putting it out on Twitter and people, like you said, Vic, walking down streets nearby and hearing a song that they recognised and then rocking up. And we literally took that place over.
I've got goosebumps even now, especially
amazing.
When the Hull fan went past. There was one fan
yes.
on his own. Just bless him, like obviously going to his hotel, just like minding his business. Everyone went, and he was like, yeah, all right, yeah. He just like joined in and carried on walking as quickly as he possibly could away from the group of like 300 Wednesday fans singing like your shit and you are at him.
My favourite bit is definitely, other than my son, of course, is the fact that over the road from the White Lion there was the Nag's Head, right, and all the Wednesday. Drinking in the White Lion, right? The Nag's Head was just had like a few kind of tourists in there and people who'd finished work and were having a few after work drinks. And every now and again, the Wednesday fans would just turn around and go, Nag's Head, give us a song. Nag's Head, give us a song. And there was no song there whatsoever. And they just started like openly mocking the pub over the road that had done nothing to deserve it. So. Yeah, Friday night was in many ways a high point, but
that'll stay with me forever. That absolutely forever. I mean, I know, like obviously to me, your son means a lot to me anyway. But if I'd have just been a random spectator, that would have stayed with me forever. That was just incredible.
So I'd like to throw one more in there that doesn't involve my son, strangely. One more minute, and I think James, you've absolutely nailed it. Fudge, you've absolutely nailed it with the idea of we were walking around that entire weekend and just bumping into people that we knew, and it was that was just incredible, those little moments, etc. But one moment that I think every Wednesday fan shared was around about 51, 52 minutes into the game, the Wednesday fans all organically started singing the "We Are On Our Way" chant, and it got louder and louder and louder and louder to the point where it was legitimately deafening. The walls of Wembley were shaking, and all of these the Twitter accounts of sports journalists and neutrals, etc. That was the moment where they all decided they had to write about the Sheffield Wednesday fans. They turned up, and what they did was something that no other club has done coming to Wembley. Even Steve Bruce in his post-match interview said, paraphrasing here, but I don't know what it was that they were singing, but they were bloody deafening. That the backing that we gave them through that kind of 10-minute spell where we just did not, would not, could not stop singing at the top of our lungs. That is something that every single Wednesday fan that was there on the day will remember for the rest of their life, because it was spine tingling. That's as loud as I've ever heard Wednesday fans.
Just you saying it there, Eddie, has made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, and I've got a shiver down my spine. And at one point during that, I stopped singing, just literally so I could take it in.
Yeah, just take it in. Absolutely.
And milk it for all it was worth, because it was
I did that so many times on that day. Yeah. I just sat there and I was like, and people were like, you've stopped singing. I was like, I just need to take this in. This is unbelievable. I'll never, ever see this again. Or I hope I won't. I hope we go up automatic and that's it. Maybe an FA Cup final. But it was just unbelievable.
I got told off for singing. I've got to say a big thank you to Andy, who managed to sort my ticket. But we ended up in the Club Wembley bit, just to the. We were in front of I didn't see it until the photos after, in front of that big empty area that was behind us. I thought they'd moved the Hull fans so we could sell that. You know what I mean? But for some reason they didn't. And every time we got up, we got told to sit down. And I've got to have a big shout out to Andy Parsons right now. I've never seen a man get told off more by one steward as he did, which is impressive. But I don't want to wax lyrical too much about the day, because I think you guys have covered it all. There was, if you took your family and I said to my godson and I said to my little brother on the day, just remember this day. You know what I mean? Just make sure you take in what you can from this day, because you don't know how far it is away. And I was a young man. I was a young boy last time we were successful there. You know what I mean? So I just take it in. But there was one moment I must talk about, and it sounds like I am trying to be his best friend, but I think I am. But I've got to give a big shout out to Lee Peacock.
On a train. He's on a train. He's on a train. Where's he going?
What's he doing? I don't know.
Where's he going? I don't care. All I know is Lee Peacock's on a train.
I have never seen a man. I've witnessed a man's conversion to Sheffield Wednesday in a week, and that's all down to the Sheffield Wednesday fans. Having driven to Brighton with him, and that was just a random thing that turned up. He waxed lyrical about Swindon a lot. I mean, some players have an affinity with the club, and I've got no problem with that. If he says, he does the Swindon commentary every now and again. He's one of the players they wheel out when they're celebrating something. So Lee Peacock associated with Swindon more than anything else. But after the semi-final and the final, he's full Wednesday, and the way the guy shoulders it is impressive. I mean, trying to walk anywhere with him. I'm not just holding his coat now. I'm holding his charity boxes, his iPro camera that he's got. And what I'm going to start doing is bringing a wheelbarrow when I go out with him. You know what I mean?
You're basically Terry to his Arthur Daly at this point, aren't you?
I am his pallbearer to his Undertaker. I think somebody tweeted me that at the weekend. But when we were on a train, I witnessed a man at nearly 40. I called him 40. He nearly kicked my head in. Nearly 40, welling up at these guys going, just like Vic said, he's on a train, Lee Peacock, he's on a train. And he was so overwhelmed by the whole thing and we've got people videoing him, and if you look at the video back, he's videoing them back just so we can go look at this. This is mental. But my favourite bit of that entire moment, after 10 minutes of pure singing, some old boy came in and went, "Is Lee Peacock here?"
What gave that away?
Wait, what are you?
Did
Christ,
anyone do any other celebrity spotting?
Yes.
Go.
Yes.
Who
Go
else?
on, go on, Vic. I know you've been burning. You've been burning.
So I am. I'm like on the
What a shock that Vic has done celebrity spotting of all of us.
Right, I'm done with your son now. So obviously we had an amazing time before the game. We all went to JJ Moon's Wembley and had brilliant banter with everyone, all having a chat and everything. All went into the game, had a great time afterwards. So we arranged to meet my my boyfriend's sister outside, and then Rich happened to text us and say, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, we're just outside. Let's just go and get some cans from Sainsbury's. We'll go and sit on a bench. Let's just chill out and enjoy the atmosphere that there wasn't, but we created, because all of Hull had just disappeared on a train up to some sort of rugby game. So we're all sat on this bench, absolutely living the dream, waving at all the coaches going past, unbelievable. And my boyfriend's sister came over to meet me for the first time and said, "Hi, are you Vic?" I was like, yeah, it's lovely to meet you. Nice to see you. And she went, "Oh, you must be Vic's dad."
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that one, really. Yeah.
Oh my God,
Oh,
poor
dear.
girl. She's so upset about that now. She put 2 and 2 together and made 10.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we carried on, and then the moment that nearly killed me, I've been very emotional all day, but the moment that killed me was when we were sat there and Tom Lees and Jack Hunt walked past, and Tom Lees was crying like a child. He had tears rolling down. He was mortified.
Don't tell us this, Vic.
No,
this makes
it was
it hurt.
awful. It was awful. We all stood up and we all applauded them on our feet, stood on the benches, everybody cheering them and saying thank you for a great season. And Tom Lees was in pieces. Jack Hunt couldn't look at us.
They had that look on their face like they didn't deserve what we were doing, and they so did. Not just for the day. Yeah, it was not just all about the day, was it? It's about the last.
It was
games.
the last season exactly.
Yeah.
But we also, to make it happier again, so David Garrido came over and did the Garrido, which was amazing.
I wish I'd videoed it.
But then all of a sudden he went, Ollie, come and meet my friends, and brought Ian Holloway up and introduced him to us, which is just unbelievable. So that carried on. And then we all sort of walked back. I had that run in with that Elmo, whatever his name is. And then we got back to our hotel. Me and my boyfriend were like, right, so should we just get a drink in here or? And then someone tweeted me. I don't know who it was now. I'm so sorry. But someone tweeted me saying, "Come up to the Hilton. All the players are here." So yeah, brilliant. And at the time we were that drunk, we were like 2 children. We're like, should we go to the Hilton? Yeah, we should go to the Hilton. Yeah, let's totally go to the Hilton. So we walked back up to the Hilton, and to be fair, it was a lot of Hull fans, few Wednesday fans, but corporate Wednesday fans. And we met this Hull fan from New Zealand who was lovely, who come over on his own. He was born in Hull, but lives in New Zealand. He comes over for the odd game. So we're chatting away to him. He bought us a drink and everything, stood with the guy off the Arctic Monkeys cover and whatever else, all having a few drinks and having a good time. And then the whole guy was like, "Right, see you later anyway. We finished our drinks." And he went, "I heard your team's having a party on floor 4. And I'm like, "All right, yeah." So we got back in the lift and kind of looked at each other in a really cheeky way as it got to floor 5. And we're like, should we? Should we? And my boyfriend just pressed number 4. He was like, "Right, sod it, we're going to number 4. And there was nobody there. It was like a ghost town. There was obviously a party had happened, but there were just empty glasses everywhere and whatever else. So I decided that wasn't good enough for me, and I was going to walk up and down the corridor and listen into people's rooms until I heard someone speaking.
Stalker.
So I don't even care. I was a proper fangirl. So I stood outside this one room and I could hear Portuguese, because I did A-level Spanish and stuff, and South American Spanish. So I stood outside this room and was like, they're speaking Portuguese. I wonder who that is. It's got to be one of them. And then the door started to open, and I have never run so fast in my life. Sprinted away. And then I turned around and it was Lucas Shaw. So obviously we've heard the beginning of the podcast tonight. That's what happened.
My name is Lucas Shaw. I listen to the Wednesday week.
So that was great. And then we got a lift down to reception, and I saw Fessy and Fessy's brother, who's like a taller, fitter version of Fessy, which was wonderful. So I went over to Fessy, had a photo. He was heartbroken. He was not happy at all. He was trying to be friendly to people, but you could tell he was genuinely gutted. And then I saw a little blonde Scottish man called Barry Banan. And I went over to him and I said, "Hi, Barry, can I have a photo?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, my taxi's coming, but yeah, quick photo." And I went, "I know your dad." I interviewed him and he went, "Oh, was that for the podcast?" Yeah, I listened to that. And I was like, "Oh, my God, he listens to the podcast." So
Barry Banan knows us.
I know.
Oh, my God. Sorry.
Honestly, I nearly weed.
Barry, if you're listening, is it Banan or Bannon? I need to know
Banan.
because I think it's Banan, because we have that song. I just don't think you understand. And the
It
way the
doesn't
Wednesday,
rhyme, does it?
a lot of the Wednesday fans sing it, it does my head in. It absolutely eats me alive, because we've got Barry Bannon. I just don't think he's better than Zidane. He don't rhyme. What's the matter with it? Stop getting words wrong.
But Barry Bannon got even better, right? So I had a selfie with him, and he was like, "Oh, me and my friends are going into London. We're getting a taxi." Now, 10 years ago, I'd have been in that taxi, but now I was just like some sort of fangirl, like flapping my face, like, "Oh my God." And we went outside, we like kind of followed him, and there was about 20 Wednesday fans stood outside surrounding his taxi, all singing his song. So he got in and he was loving it, and his mate was filming it out the window. So we're all stood singing, "We've got Banan, Barry, Banan." And his taxi had to do like a 10-point turn. So after like the 5th point of this turn, it was getting a little bit awkward that he was still in the taxi, like, "Yeah, great, yeah, brilliant." And eventually he drove off. We walked back to our hotel, and I met Diversity. So it was just a wonderful weekend all round. I met all of Britain's Got Talent and
Ashley
Barry
Banjo
Bannon.
loves them owls, doesn't he?
Ashley Banjo was buzzing. I actually said to him, "I think I love you." And he said, "Oh, that's nice." And I said, "Can I have a photo, please?" And he was like, "If you must." And then I turned around and I went, "Oh my God, it's the kid with the afro." Oh, what a knob. What an absolute knob.
Did you ask Ashley Banjo about the decision that he made to present Can't Touch This on BBC Saturday night?
I don't think he'd appreciated that, would he? But
yeah, I wouldn't have thought so. But he probably needed it.
But genuinely, what a weekend. That bit after the game, sat on those benches, was one of the best,
Fantastic.
like,
Absolutely
3-4
brilliant.
hours of my life. That was amazing.
I'd go with that big time. I had a bit of a random celebrity moment later on in the night, about 11:30 in it wasn't even that late, I don't think, because it was there's a guy watching the Champions League penalty shootout on his mobile phone, and the kids started watching it with him, and I looked at him and thought, I recognise that guy, and I can't think where I recognise him from. Anyway, I clocked who it was, and I said to my mate Ian, I said, "Do you remember that programme Game On with a ginger tosser?" And I said, "That's the ginger tosser." And I was like,
Martin from Game On.
Proper 90s.
Martin from Game On.
Proper 90s.
That's when Samantha Janus was
by
far the hottest woman in the world. And then she got a cans out and up and under, and I was massively disappointed.
Oh, yeah, she was smokingly hot. But yeah, Matthew Cottle's his name. And I didn't let on to I knew who he was. I just went with a moment. And that was quite cool, that.
You played it cool.
Oh, yeah.
I don't do that. I was like, "Oh my God, that's Ashley Banjo."
Was he there following Wednesday, or was he just happened to be in the
He's
same?
an we were talking to him on the tube, and he's a big Arsenal fan. And he apologised for 93.
So I should think so.
I tell you what, listen, we've waxed lyrical about. That's the 3rd time I said that phrase. We've talked a lot about our personal experiences.
I tell you what, we haven't heard from Fudge. We haven't heard from Lord H yet about his experience.
We haven't actually. Did you take Jeeves, Lord H?
No, I didn't. Me and my dad and my sis and his mate went off to Wembley. There's a song there, but no, it was a belting day. Obviously, we've heard everybody else's days. I don't want to rattle on. It was lovely to meet people that I'd not met before. James Kay, it was cracking to meet James Kay. I caught up with Owl Hulk, who you might know from Twitter as well. Absolutely cracking chap, and may I say, instrumental in the actual making of this podcast in the first place. So it was brilliant to catch up with people like that.
I actually stayed at his house on Saturday night, Owl Hulk. So
you see,
there we go.
Without
and you lived to tell a tale. There were no
would
smashing happening.
There was no smashing whatsoever. Well, there might have been. He actually stayed at his girlfriend's house, so that's none of my business.
Listen, I've got to say, I must say that we've done our own personal experiences, and first thing I've got to say is how many people did you guys? I mean, run into from that you've not seen in years, people from junior school and family members and stuff like that. That was incredible for one. And the second one is the guys that listen to this podcast. I mean, had it not been for this show and for the way you guys listen to it, Eddie might have not had the experience with his boy that he had. Vic would have not had the night she had and that sort of thing. And third and finally, I mean, we turned up, and it's it's something I will remember for the rest of my life. And I've got to say a big round of applause to the Wednesday fans. I mean, the media have genuinely gone nuts about it, and we lost, but the Blades fans can point and laugh as much as they want, but you enjoy playing Wimbledon next year, sod you. Do you know what I mean? This is what we are, and I am so proud, and I am beaming that this is what happened. I mean, after the game, I was stood there with New York Owls. There was a guy, James. He lives in the States. There was Joe Cram was there for a bit, and these are people that have travelled a lot of time. And the most surreal moment for me was watching my uncle Steve, that listens to this show on the regs, swapping numbers with Lee Peacock, just in case he gets lost in France and Steve needs to go and pick him up. It was absolutely brilliant. And I need to say to you guys out there listening, thank you so much. It wouldn't have been the day that I had it not for this show and for the club we support. Do you know what I mean?
More importantly, does Uncle Steve even live in France? Because if he lives in Rotherham, that's a long journey.
Yeah. No, he genuinely does. He lives outside Lyon, and I genuinely think that him and Lee Peacock have got some kind of something ready where I think he's going to go around his house for dinner, and it's the most surreal moment of my life. I don't know what's happening anymore.
Are you sure that Lee just doesn't need somebody in France to hold his coat while he's doing his biking?
Well, he might. You know what I mean?
But what we really, obviously, everybody that went that day, and I'm sure that people that watched it from afar, seeing the Wednesday nights, obviously the videos, the singing outside, the amazing atmosphere. What we need to absolutely make sure of is that this feeling carries over to next season. We need to take this with us.
100%.
Because this is something. It is special. It's something we've missed out a lot of, as Eddie said, the last sort of 10 years, and we've been on his way back for a time. We've seen it. We've seen glimpses of it when obviously the promotion to the Championship. It pales in significance to what happened at Wembley. It was truly magical. Being in that crowd surrounded by Wednesday fans, and it was utterly incredible. Luckily, I mean, I spent the day with my sister as well, who I don't get to see very much in general. So to have that time with her, like we used to have in the 90s when we used to go to football together, and it was just amazing. And we need to carry this on. We need to have.
I can't even explain how good that weekend was. And then you have to think, if we'd have won. But do you know what? I don't care. I had the best weekend ever. It was absolutely brilliant.
I think for me, that's the best thing there, though, Vic. I warned my missus. She's from the south, and she's got, she witnesses it day in day out since she's moved in, that Yorkshire whinging is a way of life. And I warned her. I said, if you think it's bad living with me, wait till you see this lot kicking off. I mean, we can whinge. We love a good whinge. And she didn't see it. She saw, a team that meant the world to me. I mean, when the full-time whistle went, everybody else stood for a clap and a sing, and I love the videos, and I love that you did that. Don't get me wrong. And the full-time whistle went. The whole fans around us were singing away, and fair play to them. Of course they won. All credit to them. I'm not going to take that away from them. They gave us a lovely applause when they walked out the ramp. It was great. But she said to me, "Are you all right?" I went, "No," and my bottom lip started going, and my eyes welled up, and I went, I've got to leave, and I just went out, and I actually went to the toilet and I vomited. I didn't realise that. Does anybody else get that when they get in so much pressure it makes them feel sick? And I did, and it might have done with 20 pints I had beforehand. It might have a bit to do with that as well. Like, and my £10.20 fish and chips that didn't stay in me for that long. But I listen, you guys listening, and the fans that were there, you can hold your heads up so high, because the way you've represented. I mean, for somebody who's an expat himself out of Yorkshire, and to see my hometown and my hometown club being represented in such a positive way after the game is one of the best things that I can talk about after that game, and I can't talk about it enough.
I would live that day again and again and again, including that result.
Agreed.
100%.
Let's hope it's not 23 years or whatever till the next.
Yeah.
100%. Like I said, it's got to be automatic now. I can't afford Wembley again. I spent so much money. Let's automatic next season. Well, I would, but I'd have to remortgage my house.
Yeah, my missus expressed a concern on how much money was spent for that weekend, and I said, to be honest, babe, I've been saving for this since January. So
January 2000, more like that.
I've been saving for this for the last 16 years. But I saw it coming. I think she was more pissed off that I was putting money away that she didn't know about. You know what I mean?
Your answer is you've got to learn how to fall asleep at 9:30, because then you save an absolute fortune.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And then I wouldn't have spent 27 quid on a KFC for me and her, which probably we saw not an hour later. You know what I mean?
But no, we need to bottle this. We need to get it to next season, and then the first game of next season, this spirit needs to carry on, and it really does. And
do you know what? I always look forward to next season. I'm always buzzing for the next season, but oh my God, I cannot wait for next season. I really, really hope that this hasn't been some sort of peak and then it's all going to be a trough, and I'm sure it's not. But I can't wait. I just can't wait.
I'm even waiting, like counting down the days till they release the pre-season friendly fixtures.
It's while we're on holiday.
That's the league fixtures.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the pre-season. They'll be released in the next week or so, the pre-season games. So I can't wait for those, because I love the pre-season games. I'm giving serious thought to going to Thailand, if they're doing like a pre-season tour of Thailand, which has been rumoured. Which, incidentally, if anyone would like to sponsor the podcast, to send someone to go to Thailand. Just drop me a line at James Marriott. Of course, we will do a ballot of the other podcasters to decide who it is that goes with me.
Secret ballot.
Yeah. One other thing as well, while we've been chatting, we've had another tweet through another place that someone travelled through to Wembley for the game for, and this is amazing. Someone came from Kenya, who also went to the Brighton game, travelled from Kenya. That's fantastic.
Did he go to Brighton, travel back, and then come back again?
Must have done.
You know what I mean? Well, either or. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Don't get me wrong.
That's amazing. That is amazing. Do you know what else has happened while we've been on? And I'm slightly changing the subject here and going away from it, but I feel like we've got to talk about this. Is that it's been confirmed that Kieran Westwood is in the Ireland squad for the Euros, which I think after his performance on Saturday is thoroughly deserved.
Are we totally Ireland now for the holidays?
I've got them in the sweepstake as well at work. So
they've been beat by Belarus tonight, haven't they? While we've been recording, haven't they? Just been beat by a backwater part-timers.
They're a tiny team,
Westwood
tiny team.
Playing, so it's okay. Westwood, the humiliation lies on the shoulders of Shay Given. So therefore, Westwood,
as it always does.
Exactly. Westwood will now, number one, he will now be the official number one by a mile, because clearly he hasn't just conceded 2 goals against Belarus. If you look on the official Republic of Ireland's Twitter feed, they've put the squad up with pictures. And the picture they've got of Kieran Westwood appears to be a picture of him when he played for Republic of Ireland under 18s. I've never seen
tattoos,
Kieran Westwood.
no facial hair.
Yeah, exactly. No facial
backup
hair
for that.
and the thickest, most hirsute head hair I've ever seen. Boyish grin. So well done, Kieran.
What it is with Kieran Westwood is he's dropped out of a lot of squads over the last few years, and I don't think he's a favourite of Martin O'Neill's. And it's not just, it goes back to the Sunderland days as well. It's not just the Ireland team. So he's not dropped out because O'Neill thinks he's a poor player. He's dropped out because they question his attitude towards the Irish team. And I think that it's kind of like that his performance on Saturday made it all forgiven a little bit. Does that make sense?
Well, better I do, because I'm going to be honest here. He has shown time and time again that he is a better keeper than either Shay Given or Darren Randolph at the moment. So on form, he should be the Republic of Ireland's keeper. I can't imagine that the best goalkeeper in the Championship is somehow not good enough to be better than reserves from Premier League teams. So he should be in there. And Martin O'Neill, if you're listening, and I think you probably are, pick him, because you're an idiot if you don't.
You tell him, Eddie, old boy. The Wednesday week is proud to be associated with Cavendish Cancer Care. Cavendish is a Sheffield charity dedicated to improving the quality of life for people living with cancer. No one should face cancer alone, so Cavendish provides emotional support through counselling and complementary therapies. The services they provide are free of charge and are funded through donations. If you can help or would like to find out more information, you can go to www.cavcare.org.uk. That's CAVCARE.org.uk. Right then, ladies and gents, obviously the rumour mills have started about everything else. I had a tweet from somebody the other day asking me what I thought we needed for the team for next season. Right now, not even thinking about it. I want to enjoy this season we've had. It has been an amazing season from start to finish. The change, and bear in mind, this is the 1 season that we've had Mr. Chansiri and Carlos running our club. And the transformation from last year has been unbelievable. The exciting football. Remember watching, as Beattie turned him, Stuart Manila last year, watching that defensive football all year, the nil-nils, etc., etc., etc. And the change we've seen on the football pitch and around the club. Don't get me wrong, love Stuart Gray. Absolutely love him as such. But how much more fun has it been watching the football this season? How much more fun has it been a Wednesday night this season?
Is there any coincidence that Beastie leaving the podcast coincided with Wednesday becoming an attractive, beautiful...
Beastie wouldn't take a business card from me. He refused one. He was like, no, I already listened and it's crap. I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Come here. Take a business card. I slipped one in his back pocket, so he'll find that at some point.
I just thought you were feeling his arse, to be fair.
Looking for his fruit bag.
If Beastie managed to clean out of the fruit bag all that day, it would have been a chuffing miracle. But no.
Can I just say, on behalf of me and James as well, I'm sure James will agree with this, thank you so much for this season, guys. You have made this the best season I've ever known, and it's obviously because of the football that we've played, but it's also because I've been a part of this, and it's been awesome, and I'm sure James agrees.
Yeah, it's been all right, yeah.
Oh, you knob.
Let's see if you
been,
think the same when we bring out the retain list.
Yeah, exactly. There's contract negotiations to be had.
I've heard a very
Lord's Towers.
Are we getting my social media stats in later?
There's a rumour that Beastie's already got a season ticket for next season, so could be the cutback could be on.
That could be it. We could be out.
Yeah, you lot
we'll just start our own.
But no, it has been incredible. From a podcasting point of view, again, I don't want to gush too much, but it has been a brilliant year for the podcast. The numbers have shot up. Obviously, James and
100,000 listeners. Or downloads.
1 million listeners.
100 million.
The great thing about these stats is you can't prove it either way. We've got a gazillion listeners. It's amazing.
I don't know how much that is, but
100,000. That's awesome. That's incredible.
I'm disappointed.
Have you
I'm
just
gonna be
made that
honest
up?
with you.
Is that true?
Would you like me to clear it up?
I
Yes.
thought it was 4
Are we still
million.
Go on,
recording?
clear it up. Clear it up.
The actual downloads, if you like, from podcast, from iTunes, from Podbean, from all the other outlets we have, obviously YouTube, etc., including our videos and various other nonsense we've done over the season, has been over 100,000 downloads, views, etc. That's
See?
everything on there. So
Amazing.
it is.
That is fantastic. That's
It is. It's unbelievable. We would like to thank everybody. It's been a real pleasure doing the podcast, especially this year. Obviously, in previous seasons, we have been a little lax, and basically because we didn't have a great deal to talk about. The football wasn't great. There wasn't much going on around the club, and this is the difference between this season and last. This season has been incredibly exciting from start to finish. The players have been brilliant. The football's been fantastic. The goals have been thunder chuffers. I mean, it's just been amazing. And again, the Wednesdayites, there's no words. There is no words for how good the Wednesdayites have been. We will be back, of course, with various pre-season podcasts, and we will talk about transfers, and we will talk about rumours, and we will make things up and lie to you. Absolutely, we will. But we'll do that another time, because let's just enjoy what's happened. Rich, if you want to go to you over there on the internet, where can we do that, Albin?
You can get me at Dickie Owl. That's where I'll be hanging around in close season, absolutely bored out of my brains, waiting for the 6th of August.
Victoria, my darling, where can we go to you?
If you want to find me on Twitter, it's at Victoria1867, or you could come to Mallorca in the middle of June and hang out with me and James watching the Euros and getting very, very burned.
And drunk.
And stuff.
And drunk.
Jamesy, Albin, if people want to get on you over there on the Twitch bridge, where can we do that?
You can get me at James Marriott. I will probably go a little quiet on Twitter because I don't really tweet about anything other than football these days. So, yeah, there'll probably be some radio crap on there. But other than that, it'll all be quiet. That's the same place to get hold of me if you fancy coming to Thailand with me for our pre-season tour, if it happens.
Fantastic. Mr. Fudge, where can I get all of your utter nonsense over there on Twitter?
If you want to see me masturbating my unicorn horn, get yourself get yourself at Dan Fudge and or stood behind Lee Peacock. I'll probably be there watching the under-16s at Eastleigh Town because apparently that's what I do now. That's my life.
Yes, Lee. Yes, Lee.
Eddie, Albin, if you want to go to you over there on the online, do you reckon we do that?
Well, to be honest, from now until the fixtures are released, I'm going to be manning my computer, refreshing constantly because there's a rumour buzzing that our pre-season is going to be Wolves away, and I can't have that. That is not going to happen.
Oh my God, can you imagine?
Bring it on.
I hope it's while we're on holiday. Bloody hell.
So I will be at Sausage Arms on Twitter throughout the summer. I'm going to be... I think we should probably get together and do something a bit Euro-centric because I think we're all still interested in international football as well.
I think we will.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with that. I think, you know, Wilshire's stolen a shirt from Andros Townsend and Sturridge has stolen... I've got plenty of opinion on it, but, we'll see what happens. We could turn it into like a fantasy football league type of thing. You know what I mean?
Whoever's got the biggest garden for a barbecue.
That works for me. That works for me. Hey, you know what? In the meantime, I am going to be trying to get on the shoulders of any Wednesday fans that I meet in the hope that I can as famous as my son. But no, in the meantime, at Sausage Arms on Twitter, thank you, Wednesday fans, for the most amazing season. I put it up there with promotion in 2012. I put it up there with those seasons in the early 90s. It has been incredible. And like I said, we've spent 10 years going down and down and down and down into the wilderness. The last 5 years, we have been on our way back. And I kind of feel like now we're back where we belong. And next season, let's make it the final chapter in that journey. So I love you all. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be so gutting not to be able to get together with you guys every week during the summer. But let's be honest, we've got knack all to talk about, have we? Because Wednesdays are all done for the season. But love you. Have a great summer. And we'll get together soon.
Absolutely. Of course, if you'd like to get hold of me over there on the Twitter, you can do that at Lord H. That's L0RD_H. Again, there's not much point for a football lord when there's no chopping football on. So I shall do my very best. Of course, get on there of the podcast as well. I'm sure we'll be keeping you up to date with the Wednesday news as it does pop out here, there, and everywhere as well. You can do that at TWWcast over there on Twitter too. Of course, see the Facebooks, see the YouTubes, see the Mixclouds, see everything else we've got. Subscribe and spread the word, because hopefully next year when we do get promoted to the Premiership, we'll be bigger and better than ever. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for listening. You have no idea what it means to us. Be good, be safe.
We will see you
real soon. There's a chance here. A great save. A turner from McClare. Might come. A terrific goal by Sheridan. Brexman against Jones. Get in. You could have two goalkeepers in there that would have trouble saving that.
One take.
Oh, I've been waiting 5 minutes to blow my bloody nose.
Are we still recording?
Oh, that's better. Bloody hell. I had a right sneezing fit in the middle of that. Been sneezing into my hand for the last 5 minutes.
Oh,
Listen,
James, I love you.